And it's on video.
That's true. Last week's was actually on video, but the interesting thing was that it just stopped. As soon as everything crashed, it just stopped, and then it started when it all came back up. So it was sort of like a jump cut. You didn't see any of the calamity going on. This is your old tube radio network. Maybe.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
That's right. That the computer crash was all the ones that the levels are preset until, of course, they're not. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. Let's see if the camera is working. Hey, there we are, as if nothing has even happened, or has ever happened, but it will be happening. The Old Tube Radio Network with your glow-in-the-dark vintage Class D, perhaps, 11-meter Citizen Band radios from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. On parade right here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Been doing that thanks to you since about 1986. The shortwave listeners joining us from here in Central California over the airwaves and via other various forms of trickery on the Universal Media Net web from oldtuberadio.net and at the YouTube video, which I think is up and running. Well, we'll find out. And we're going to try and keep it that way. My name is Dennis, Net Control, one of the many Net Control operators who have been sitting in the air chair of the Old Tube Radio Network for all these many years, and I will be happy to check you in and say hello, radio. Do you need a number? Do you ever have to have an Old Tube Radio to come in and participate? Absolutely not. So please say hello, stop on by. Hopefully, if this is your first time, you're watching the replay, you are doing something like this, where you get on the air night where you are as well. So since I'm super behind, let's go to the roll call, and I will commence to begin when I find my paper. At the top of said item, if you're playing the home game, it should look like this, where you're on page 1, and we are looking for 00. Hello, Paul. All right, I hear you. The local stuff is pretty quiet, so we'll see if we got you checked in. We'll get you checked in. If you can do a radio or two, we'll be listening. Thanks for starting us off. Okay, very good. Let me also bring that around, and we will be going. We will be doing this. SWL number 1, and of course, getting the cosmic check-in. SWL number 2. Jim number 1, 2. Oh, Mr. OBP, who was out there earlier when everything was working. He might still be out there. Yeah, he's over at the video chat. Say hello to SWL2. Says our sunspots are trying to be good. They could be better. They will be better. We are in cycle 25, and it is on the rise. Got you checked in, Mr. OBP. Get all the paperwork where it needs to be. I've got a proxy check in for Rob, also one of our net controllers, SWL3. Let's go over to yet another guy who has sat in the air chair a couple of times, SWL7.
Proxy 7.
I will proxy 7. Hopefully he's out not losing money or making some money. All right. We will go up. Thank you, Dennis. We will go up to shortwave listener number 10. I do think I did see... let's see, I'm scrolling up and down the page because I have missed a few things as I was getting everything back online. Yeah, there's Dwayne saying good evening to everyone. Number 10, number 30 checking in, and no conditions. Yeah, I was listening to old Radio Night. They had no skip conditions. We didn't even have much of a Pacific afternoon thing going on. There was some Skip this morning talking to 1017, and he was working across the pond the other way. So I think you got about early in the morning. So I've got Chrissy checked in. Get SWL 11. Mr. Cornbread is out there, and likewise SWL 12. So if Dapper Dan watches the video replay, because I know he is away from his air chair at the moment. So if he watches the replay, this is the Dapper check, and he should be able to look up there and see that 12 is indeed checked in and looking good. So thank you, Cornbread and Dapper Dan. Over to SWL 13.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
24. You can take in and get out.
All right, in and out, and you remind me that might not be a bad thing to check. So you have started a trend. Thank you, Joseph. Are there any other stations that would like to get checked in and be on their way? OTR is listening. Or trying to listen, as it is. All right, we will continue on and take them. What do they say? Take them as we get them. 10 is in, 11 is in, 12 is in. SWL 13, hello, Mr. Cobra, who often checks in over at oldtuberadio.net, which you can do if you've got the popular wizardry to do that. I'll make sure that when he gets there, we will get him checked in. How is our connection out to the south and the east? Looking for SWL 14, over.
SWL 14, Sean in Sangertown, checking in. I've got you loud and clear out here, Dennis.
Yeah, you are really loud. I didn't see, keep again, I'm going to see where your S meter's at here. Take another transmission, Sean, over.
Yeah, can you hear me, Dennis?
Yeah, I can hear you. I had my RF gain set up to about an S6, and you don't even move the meter, but your audio is super loud. So that is the way it should be, where you got some nice audio and it cuts through everything. We've got you checked in, over.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate all the work you put into this. I know that can make you pull your hair out with these technical difficulties, but thanks for doing the show.
Yeah, well, you know, I have a little background in broadcast radio and TV, and it's so much like that. You think nothing ever goes wrong. Well, let me tell you something. It's just another day. So I always appreciate everybody standing by and keeping us going here. All right, you are checked in. Over. Yeah, don't add pictures to radio. And even radio has its time. But I suppose when it comes right down to the basics, which is the microphonium, the radio, the antenna, and out to the tube radio operators and listeners here in the local part, I'll be able to do that with no problem. As always, helping us out. We have a great crew here. So as I'm, straightening my tie while the smoke is pouring out of the equipment, Charlie and Chet are always helping me out here. At some point, I don't know, maybe they'll come around the other side of the camera and say hello. But until that time, they're kind of shy. So from Anoka, Minnesota, the X is in the square, and we are on the air. Thanks. SWL 17. SWL 18, I've got Mikey checked in from Facebook. SWL 19, Chet is working the cue cards. And you know what? The cue cards never have anything about there's going to be a computer crash, but it just happens. And when we work through it, thank you, Chet, out there, Belfast. Derby, New York, by way of Belfast, Maine. Let's go over to a guy. He's here. I have a proxy in for you, Mr. Harvey, but I believe I can put the X in the square, over.
Put the X in the square. And also check in 29 and 54. and I'll be back with a radio of interest.
All right, I like that. I like that little bell, sounding good. So I've got the items of interest checked in, and all should be going well. Thanks.
You betcha. Okay, doke. We'll talk to you later.
Then we go over to shortwave listener 21, and I did have old radio night up and running in one of my other windows, and sometimes the audio, gets through here as we're preparing before the program, because there's always good things. Almost. There's always some interesting things happening over there, and because I had the computer reboot, I don't have the video is there, but it's not coming up. So it may be, what's the word? Well, it's buffering, but it may be loading itself, when you do 2-hour video like that. But tonight was the Lafayette, the DNA, and some good stuff for 21 tonight. I wanted to put some audio out, but it's not going to let me do that. But anyway, I do see Mr. From the Wasama Swamps, Mr. JT. And okay, on the leftovers. There's plenty around here. I'm not sure what we have on store tonight, but there's plenty of stuff going around. So if you do happen to wander into the facility here, you will be well taken care of. Thank you, Mr. JT. I got to turn the audio down because at some point that old radio night is just going to open up and start beaconing through. Let's go over to Tyler, SWL22. I'm looking, and let me go over to the big page here. I'm looking to see who's on there. In the front row, Fresno, of course, Belfast, Maine, and Anoka, Minnesota. Derby, New York, just like it should be. Bowling Green, Kentucky. I do believe that's Van Man. Hello to Fresno, San Marcos, Inez, Kentucky, Woodland Park, Colorado, beaconing the antennas this way. Florence, Kentucky, Fresno, Kerman, and Dallas, Georgia, up in the balcony tonight. Also in the nosebleed section, I think Travis was up there. It says, Travis, if I need a backup janitor, he'll help me out. He's seen me with a little broom after the program, after the net here, with a little dustpan and the broom cleaning up. But that's what you got to do. We are a small operation, even though it doesn't seem like it. We are a small operation, especially when the tube stops going. Everybody takes off. So thanks, Travis. I'll see what we can do. And sometimes you find coins in between the cushions up there. So there's some profitability to being the janitor around here. Let's go over to SWL 23. 23 could do. It's probably in some super secret assignment. 24 checked in moments ago. SWL 25. I will get a proxy in for Jerry, who is probably out with the Donnie Reb Band playing some music, entertaining somewhere. I missed the Wednesday night net. I missed the Friday night net, so I'm not sure who's doing what where. But I know they are doing it. I don't have my page. There it is. Page 2, SWL 27. SWL from beautiful Sacramento. I was talking to some of my 40-meter radio friends up in Sacramento, up near Sacramento today. And they said it's kind of nice, cool day up there. Over to, we got to check in. If I got the right, yes, I do. Somehow my date didn't update here, but we've got to check in for Mr. Loner. And I have a pencil tonight. Normally I have a pen, but the pencil's kind of neat. It's kind of the lead. Oh, you know what? Where's the less than stellar close-up cam? And this is from, I always say I worked in television. This is from the TV station. This is a memento, the ABC Channel 30, ABC.com pencil. I don't know where this came from. You guys found it. You found it in the back room. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. So we're doing video. We can use a TV pencil for the audio tonight. So I said hello to Loner. And also, I got to update my list here. We've got SWL30. Dwayne is in, checking in, listening, but probably in vain tonight because it is just super quiet. But you just never know. We could get that sporadic E-skip. Let's see. Do I have the map? I don't want to take too much time here. No, the map is just... let me see if I can roll up the DX map by pressing the secret button. See, there's a couple of short hops. I don't know if there's a 6 meter, but there's nothing to speak of on the DX map here tonight at this point in time. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Dwayne. Over to SWL31. SWL32. Shortwave listener 33, Bozo Control, and the entire gang here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Hoping everybody is having a good Thanksgiving holiday. Not eating too much and not buying too much. SWL 34, Jimmy and Captain Chaos. Did I miss Gary? No, Gary is there. How come I didn't see you? Let me go back up and do this right. I gave Sacramento a big drum roll then, and I didn't say hello to Gary. 28's checking in after a successful morning of crabbing at Bodega Bay. I have no idea how you would do that. I'm assuming you have some type of a net configuration, or maybe you just kind of run willy-nilly. I used to catch crabs when I did surf fishing at the beach. You just kind of dig. You see, there's a little bump. You dig down, and there's the little wiggly crab, a sand crab. A little tiny sand crab, and on the hook it goes. So I don't know what kind of crabbing you got. Great crab. No, these weren't good for dinner, but he had a great crab dinner, and now he's ready to top it off with the Old Tube Radio Network. All right, well, we're going to be... we're like dessert tonight. Hopefully things will keep going and you'll be able to get a complete meal. Thanks for the info, Gary. And wow, that's a long trip back and forth from where you're at. So thanks for joining us here. Let's go over to, I checked in myself. We were looking for Jimmy, who's not there yet. SWL 35, Mr. Bill, I think I saw him. He may have checked in. He was on my list of 21 minutes. All right. 21 minutes is good, because I saw it from the other day, and I thought, well, maybe he is out and about with, some holiday deals at Red Monkey Communications, but he is right there as always. Hello, Mr. Bill, and hope all is well in snowy. All right, snowy Cheyenne tonight. Checking in. I'm not sure what we're not sending you any bad weather. That's for sure. Let's go over to SWL 36. And Gary says a Dungeness crab. I should get a picture of that with a hoop net. There you go. I didn't know. You'll learn something new. See, I've been using the hula hoop net, and I haven't been catching anything because they go right through that big hole. So I just need a hoop net. Let's try SWL 37. Hello, Chris.
Yeah, that's Proxy Chris in.
Okay, we can do that, and we will do that. Sam is listening, as always. He's got. What do they say? What do we say in 11 meter radio? He's got the house turned around to Fresno from Byron, but we just don't have those conditions. All right, Sam. We will get you checked in. And 52, yeah, I noticed that the APRS map has more flavor. I noticed that the other day. There was something going on in Sunnyside. And then this evening, it was back out on the west side, way out there. Yeah, the number 1. We got a number 2, the GFD Abode. I think Rick is out there, KKO, and a host of others. So, yeah, the Maposaurus is looking pretty good. Let's go to SWL 39. All right, was that 39 over? Hey, I can hear you because, one, I am actually concentrating and listening, and I know you were there last week, and I did get a 10.5, but I'm putting the X in the square again this week. I'm not sure if you're out by the haystack, if you're standing on top of the pickup truck, or what you're doing, but you're doing okay here in Midtown Fresno, over. All right, well, I'm glad I can get you beaconing in, and I still have the same less than stellar Star Duster. Or the Star Duster is stellar. It would be more stellar if it were in a better position in the air. Thanks, Dan, for remembering the Saturday night place to be. We got the best. We got the best shortwave listeners and tube operators here. 35, 36 years, still happening. Yeah, you can still have fun on your CB radio. Let's go to SWL 40. Hey, 45, hello, radio. All right, no, I got you checked in on the 00 and 45, over. Okay, yeah, you might check some of your connections because normally you are a little stronger signal. So hopefully there's not a bad jumper or a switch in a bad position there or something, because normally you are a little bit stronger to me. But I hear your audio. You got good audio coming through. SWL 41. Road Dog 507 checking in, of course, from Hudson Valley, New York, the Orange Ulster County, saying good evening to everyone. Good evening right back. Always appreciate our stations that stay up late, because we start late. Somebody just came in the balcony up there. The lights are always in my eyes. I can't see. Indianapolis, Indiana, joining us. The old Tube Radio Network, something. Hopefully we start checking in radios in a while. We will have one of your favorite manufacturers come by. SWL 42, I do believe I will proxy in Mr. KW and all the gang. Also a proxy in for 43 Crazy Eddie. I did not hear the ditch banks last night to see how well 44, Mr. 360 was coming in, but he's been sounding good. SWL 45, we got moments ago. Over to SWL 46. Don't hear Steve. How about SWL 47?
Good evening, sir, to you and all the other SWL listeners. This is from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47.
All right, you're sounding good, Mike. I've got you checked in, and we have a crossband. Let's see if I can get the crossband here. Hey, hello, radio, KB6GFD.
Dennis, how you doing? Is there an OTR tonight?
There is an OTR tonight. You are live on the air, so when you come back and with your transmission, you can say hello to everybody as I check you in. Over.
Roger. All right, I'll turn on something of interest for the net, possibly, and hope he had a good Thanksgiving. Anyway, I will go ahead and start that procedure here, and we'll talk to you after a bit. KB6GFD, W6KD.
All right, this is the start the procedure frequency. I wasn't sure if you were out with the Donnie Rebs tonight and doing things, but you were right here, so we'll get you checked in and maybe hear you live and direct on the AM side. Thanks for joining us. KB6GFD. All right, from the crossband radio, SWL 25 checking in, remembering that this is indeed the Saturday night place to be. Also joining us, Tyler's on. Let me see if this will work. Tyler's over on the Echo link. Might be watching us here, but I wanted to fire up the Echo link and see if 22 from Anchorage, Alaska. Tyler, if you're copying and you hear us on the Echo link and it's working, give us a shout. Tell us what's going on in 25 words or less. KL5TW, KB6GFD, over. So we can get an Echo link up from Alaska. He might not have his audio connected just yet. Sometimes it takes a while for the delay in the internet to come up. All right, well, we'll continue on. And if he stops by, we'll get into that. Direct and net roll call, page 2, looking for SWL 48.
Traffic thing over here. KL5 Tango Whiskey here on the old tube radio, the Echo link. Trying to check in, and I used to be number 22, and I forgot my new number now. Anyway, Dennis, good to hear you out there. KL5 Tango Whiskey.
All right, I'm having some cables getting tangled up here on the radio side. No, you are 22. That is your new number. So 22 gets the X in the square. I hear you live and direct on Echo Link up from Anchorage or wherever you might be tonight. And we have you checked in, and you are on. You can hear your audio if you want to watch the replay on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for joining us. Over.
All right, Dennis, good to hear you out there, and I almost forgot to check in. Which conditions were better? Let me fire up my old skippers and let you hear them, because they like to get out there and play and make a little noise every now and then. But not going to happen tonight. So carry on, Dennis. KL5 Tango Whiskey.
All right, will do. Thanks for joining us, KB6GFD. All right, thanks for joining us, Tyler. And yeah, we haven't had a nice Palomar check-in for a while. So always enjoy that when we get some conditions. I'm just checking my REA meter to make sure that the transmitter is still going. Direct net roll call, Tube Radio's coming up. So stay with us here on your Old Tube Radio Network, looking for SWL 49.
There's proxy, Smeedy.
Okay, yeah, I will get, I can get Smitty and Sweet Country Mama checked in, no problem.
Yeah, more.
Wanted to get 2249. How about SWL 50? And let's see, is it still, I don't have the little, the sun, I need one of those, sunlight maps that tells me where the gray line is. So probably, as they said, still light up there in Anchorage, looking for SWL. Over in Sanger, SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Man, I love this super quiet frequency. Everybody just sounds great. Hello, Dave 305. You're sounding good. We got you checked in. Over. Over to, this is another, if I was working right here, this should be another Echo link, or link. Aaron, 52 is one of these guys that if I was capable, I could probably check him in 5 different venues between AM, FM, and digital FM, and Echo Link, and who knows what else. He may have a tin can strung outside the window here that he's stretching tight across Blackstone Avenue. Hello, 52.
Well, if you get a D-Star radio, I can check in that way. From behind the golden microphone, SWL 52. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, thanks for checking in. I've got Fusion, but I don't have D-Star, but that's not to say that I won't at some time if I can figure out any of the stuff that's happening now. Thanks for checking in. KB6GFD.
Okay, 60 West Wide.
All right, I feel like a drummer here moving around. I will never be. I do not have that kind of timing. Put the X in the square for 52. How about 53? Hello, Bob.
Good evening, Dennis. 553 Bel Air the Legend on the east side of Fresno, checking in, and I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. With that, we'll let you go there. 10-4.
All right, thanks for joining us. And you're sounding loud, boy. Big signal here into Midtown Fresno, and the X is in the square. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
That'll take us over to page 3. Travis is on the 23-channel radio, which you should be. If you're gonna check in vintage, no tubes, a 23-channel radio will work. The electric fence. I've tried the metal rain gutters before. 25 can attest to that. I've talked to Jerry off of the rain gutters here before. Let's go to SWL 54. We will get a check-in for Mr. Boardjammer up to SWL 55. SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
All right, sounding good. Where are we going? I got to go over to that picture. And I was looking at, if I find the right thing, there it is, the net. Number 2. I don't think I've seen a number 1 and a number 3. But you're like, who was it? Jimmy Durante. You got a million of them there. There's actually 2. That is so weird. Or is it 3? No, it looks like it's times 2, and it actually shows 2 little running men. So you and your your shadow are on tonight. All right, sounding good. Talking about the APRS. Anybody with APRS can see all the local stations here that are beaconing elsewhere, going up to the satellites and back. Let's go to, thank you, Phil. Let's go to SWL 57. And 57 is Mr. Brown Dog Audio, who is right there. I got to look in the right spot. Put the X in the square. And what is going on tonight? Checking in. Good skip today. Yeah, you guys had some. Ours wasn't that good, I don't think. I should check with Bobby. He knows the skip because he's got the biggest machi. Made contact on lower sideband net in Texas as well as Reno, Nevada. All right, well, it was good. Actually heard Bakersfield, California. Buck Owens and friends out there. So if you can hear Bakersfield, you can probably hear Fresno. So, all right. So I misspoke. There was skip, and the guys that know how to do it, like BDA there, that know how to shoot skip, we're doing it. Let's go to SWL 58. That's saying, never trust a mud duck station like myself that doesn't even know how to do skip to tell you that skip isn't there. Talk to the people that actually do it. Let's go to SWL 59. Uncle Hairball, get an X in the square from his performance at Old Radio Night tonight. Good to hear ORN on the airwaves, beaconing from the Wasama swamps around the universe. Thank you, 59. I see you there. I got you checked in. Let's go to SWL 60.
Evening down to you, Dennis. SWL 60, checking in.
60 checking in. And looking good in the air chair, sounding better tonight, so thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, Dennis.
Let's go to SWL 61.
61, checking in, Dennis.
All right, it's nice to have a nice clear frequency. Thanks for waiting for us, and we got you, and onward and upward. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I want to get through the roll call here before the nasty noise comes up. Let's go to SWL 62. Mr. KD out of North Dakota. How about North Georgia, Mr. Butterbean, SWL 63? Get Butterbean checked in. He was out there doing something. Craig is in. I think I just saw him pop up onto my screen. Indeed. Out there in the 9 land. Putting the X in the square. Thanks for joining us. Listened on 10 meter AM. I was hearing a few stations. It's just the West Coast isn't doing good. I went to one of the SDRs, and there's stations, Texas, Michigan, but I don't know. I'm a mud duck up there too, so at least it's universal. Thank you, 64. Let's go to SWL 65. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. SWL 68. I think I had an item to get Michael checked in from New York, which I will do. SWL 69. Kenny was in earlier. Checking in with us on the net page. If I scroll up, I will see his hello radio. If you're watching Kenny live or not on the replay, you are checked in. Thanks for joining us. And Butterbean is 2 hours north. Is that if you drive the Buick? It could be 3 hours north. You got to be in the right car. Thanks, Foxman 362. Oh, you do a video or a gate as well. So they probably won't let you put it up. I was going to say go ahead and put your how to find that. So if it's URL anyway, put up how to find Foxman 362 gates for those who might be interested. If they'll let you do it. Let's go to SWL 70. Ooh, I see the Dolphins. Thank you, Chrissy. No 70. SWL 71. Stan is there. We can set our OTR clocks to Stan. He will be right there checking in. What was going on tonight? I helped somebody at some type of CW contest. There was a guy, he broke in, we had a conversation going, and he says, there's somebody giving reports down, it was on 40 meters, it was 59922, so CW, so it's, 5NN22, and he wasn't sure. He says, what's the 22? What's the check? So I had to quickly go to the ARRL, and I'm not a big CW guy, and look for it. And the 22 was your zone. I didn't even know they had zone. So you give your signal report and your zone, and that was your contact number for whatever the CW contest that I think is going on or was going on the band. So Stan, I don't know what number I am. I'd have to look at find the chart, and I don't know what number I know you know what number you are. Let's go over to SWL 72. Now I will get Radio Boy checked, and he was sounding really loud tonight in his new digs or new antennas, so he sounded good. Over to SWL 73. I'll get John checked in. I bet he's doing the CW contest. SWL 74. And I'll get 74 checked in via the two-way there. SWL 75. Let's go to SWL 77.
Well, hello, everybody. 77 on the peanut whistle here, checking in. Good morning conditions for Europe into California. And found out a lot of guys across the United States are talking on Channel 1 FM and shooting skip if anybody's interested.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's official in the U.S. that FM is now acceptable. So I was wondering if they were going to come up with at least for, like you said, in the U.S., an FM channel, if you will, and that should be 26,965. So it's probably narrow, I guess, but most of the export radios will do that automatically. I did not know that. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think in January of this year they were going to pass that FM thing, but I don't know if they did or not.
Okay. I know Cobra and Uniden were pushing it, and I think they said it was going to happen, but it's got to go through the FCC. We're checking this and checking that and banging the gavel and then waiting 60 days, et cetera, the same way they did with allowing the 150-mile-plus contacts. So get your frequency modulation ready. And we're getting a couple of thumbs up that FM is now legal in the U.S. of A. So thanks. So we'll look forward to some Channel 1 Remember, you got to stay FM, but you got to stay within the 40 channels and do it correctly. Thanks, Dennis.
You betcha.
Let's go to SWL 78. Looking for Richard to see who's in. Hello, who's joined us? Kerman, Fresno. A lot of people in there. SWL 79. I got a check-in from Philip. I think it was over on Facebook. Said he was around. Let me before we do some other stuff. Let's see who's checking us on the video. Radio Randy and the Voodoo Audio Group. Where's the Voodoo Lab sticker? This is I'm not quite. I won't say I'm quite a voodoo guy yet, not like Mr. FEJ up there in Lake Almanor, but I'm working on it. So Randy, who is now a voodoo, he's always been a voodoo guy. He's got his Anon. They're up there, down there on the, well, it depends. Frequency-wise, they're down there. Band-wise, they're up there on 75, 80 meters tonight doing this stuff. So tell the gang that the Fresno Mud Duck guy says hello, and hope all is well. Hope you guys got some conditions, and we will get you checked in. What else was I going to do? Oh, see who's up and around, and then we're going to check in with Bob and Steve on the big board, because I miss everything. UDX 483, of course. Mud Bucket joining us tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network from the off-the-shelf radio, Levon. Saying no cannelloni's day. It was beer and leftovers. Whatever. If that works, if that's what makes lunch, that's a good thing. Hey, okay, Larry's listening on the headphoniums. We are in stereo. If you're listening on headphones, let me see. Where's my audio output here? I think it's this knob. If you're listening stereo, there we go. That should be the left side. A left radio testing, that should be the right side. Now, if you're listening over the air, 27085, you shouldn't hear any difference. But if you're listening over the Universal Media Netweb, it's actually stereo. It's not super enhanced stereo, but it is. I mean, we try harder here at the Old Tube Radio Network. Foxman 362 is in. I'm just trying to see who else is joining us. Man Cave Studios out of North Carolina. Thanks for tuning in the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Boy, I'm taking an old buzzard transmission here. Neil, I see you. I will hopefully remember where to find your items of interest when it comes that time. Also looking good tonight on the Universal Media Netweb. Thanks everybody for joining us. Eric is testing. And Rusty Rails, thank you. Rusty, it's channel 1, 26965. So there may be some, I don't know how official this is, or if it's just somebody says, this is what we're going to do, or if it's a Uniden thing saying, yeah, you guys should do this, but you did hear correct, channel 1. So put on your FM hat and listen there, and maybe something will happen. Thank you for the audio kudos, Jackie. And let's see if SWL 80 is around. And before we turn the page, let's see what's happening with Bob and Steve tonight.
27.0850 OTR Channel 11.
I know they've threatened to go over to Costco with card and get me a new computer. The computer I am using was bought on the Costco card almost 10 years ago. They got that nice little, we'll fix it for you for 2 years. So that's kind of out of whack now, but it's kind of nice. All right, episode 143 for the Old Tube Radio Network and Bob and Steve. Next week they're having a marathon of gamers in the Green Room Lounge. Now I don't know much about gaming. I bet 52 does. So I'm going to learn something about that and try and stay out of the way. And the tournament will include 1, jacks. Well, these are the games I can do. Jacks. Pick up jacks with 1 red ball. 2. The cootie game. I was good at that. I might even have one here. The Jingle Singers found the missing parts to the cootie game. That's back. The cootie game. Can you imagine that? The missing parts are the kind that you cannot have in a game anymore because they could be swallowed, right? It's like you can't do that. So we will make sure that if there's any toddlers around, that the small parts will not be ingested, but you'll still be able to step on them in your bare feet. Tiddlywinks with 33 different colors. That's more flavors than Baskin and Robbins has, so we got a one-up on them. So we got Tiddlywinks. I'm going to have to practice. I'm going to have to... Do kids still do this? I mean, if does the average... 8-year-old know what a cootie game is and Tiddlywinks. So we'll see. I would say I was going to see if somebody would help me out here. Tiddlywinks, 33 different colors. Try your luck at putting them in the cup and not in, there's another thing, and not in your eye. Wear the protective goggles. They probably have to sell them now with some type of special cap and, goggles or something. Sign up on the bulletin board near the elevator. I've taken off all the extra stuff, so there should be plenty of room there. Grand prizes will be given out, and everyone is welcome to join in, as always. Have a Yaesu FT101E connected in line with the Drake antenna tuner G5RV antenna on 27085. A great AM audio. Even if you don't do the WA1 Nate GLR mods, your 101E will sound good as long as you keep that plate current below... don't overdrive that plate current. When you see 20 watts or 25 watts on the output, you are done, especially if you want to run 100% modulation. Don't burn up those sweep tubes, and do not burn up the transformer on that 101, because you will not be able to find another one. So be nice to your 101. But feel free to test out the one we have here online. Wyoming played Fresno State last night. It was a great game, I hope. At the bar tonight, turkey. Yeah. If you want some turkey, all the leftovers drinks are on Bob and Steve. Thank you, Bob and Steve. I always appreciate it when you do that. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I bet you did. And don't forget to feed the fish. Feed them some turkey.
27.0850 OTR Channel 11.
Roll call continues in a moment. All right, we're on page 4 for SWL 81. SWL 82.
82 checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I missed last night. I was here, but something came up, and all of a sudden you look up, and it can't be 10 o'clock. So did you guys do a net last night?
Yes, we did, and right after the net I had to cut out because I had to get up and go to work.
At 3 a.m. All right, so hopefully everything was good. We're talking about the Ditch Banks sideband net every Friday, most Fridays, 8 p.m. Pacific time on lower sideband of channel 3627, 365. You will hear some familiar voices, including this one right here. Back to you, Ron.
Yes, sir. Yep, every Friday, 8 p.m., 36 lower. And then here we are, right back here Saturday at 8. And sounding good tonight, Dennis.
All right, thanks. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 83. Shortwave listener 84. I will get Jerry and the ladies checked in. Cheerios Kid, who you can hear often on the net 72. It's down there a ways. 7204, the Jefferson Noontime Net. Also checking in Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, 86, 87, and 88 respectively. Looking for SWL 89. SWL 90, get a proxy check in. SWL 91. And Felix is right there. Let me get the X in the square. Saying hello to Net Control, the SWLs, the old TR operators. We will say hello right back. Speaking of hello, SWL 40, hello radio. Larry jumping up from the basement to peek over the berm and say hello to the old tube radio operators. Over to, where did I leave off? SWL 92. SWL 93. Out there in New Jersey. Southern New Jersey, to be correct. SWL 95. Can't get my buttons to work here. I thought I saw 95, and yeah, if it doesn't say, it's not letting me update. There it is. Okay, now it's checking in. SWL 95, Warthog 95, saying hello radio, of course, from Orlando. Beautiful Orlando, Florida. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to you. And let's see, SWL 96, Mr. Prune Picker from Kerman, who has more fun than humanly possible. Somebody used to say that here on the old Tube Radio Network. Over to 97. Jim is out there somewhere, Boston 97. Thank you. I am 5NN 599 in is that Kansas? Kentucky? Where are you at? No, you're in Boston. But where are you now? And I don't know what my region is. I don't know what number I'm at. I have to look at that map. I remember my days of the novice. You know, when you giving everybody a 5NN. I'm using the same key. You can't see it. My push-to-talk key is my J38 key from 40 years ago. My novice key. It's just a perfect little push-to-talk key. Let's go over to Tracy. Yeah, Tracy's in there. SWL 98. Try not to get thrown out the door. No, you won't. You won't get thrown out the old tube. Nobody gets thrown out, no matter what you do. He's going to help me clean up anyway, so that's okay. Let's Radio Randy, who is over on 75 meters, talking to the guy. I don't know what frequency they're on. They're probably down below 38 something, might be 37 something. Who knows? But Randy, no doubt, put a big signal in on the Anon. And if I look at my list of lists, I would know that it is time to bring up the Echo link once again and head over to McClellanville, South Carolina, or somewhere near it. Hello, Tony.
Good evening, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100. And back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, I have just done that virtually and officially on the page. And as Tony coined the phrase, TOTA, tubes on the air, is a short distance away. Thanks for checking in. KB6GFD. SWL 102. John is in, checking in from Arkansas tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I guess it's a way to tune in, the old Tube Radio Network. Tune it in on the big screen. St. Louis, Missouri, SWL 103. SWL 109, Crawdad up in Albury. There's a note here to check in, Mr. Crawdad. I will do that. SWL 110. As heard earlier, direct from Reedleytown. Sounded pretty good. Robert was in. We'll get Robert checked in. SWL 113. Shortwave listener 114.
114 checking in.
114. Hello, Wayne. Rickshaw is up and running and sounding good. Who was it? Who was it? Mudbucket said, "Is this thing working?" Yeah, I think it's working tonight. Let's go to over to SWL 128. I need to go over to the other screen here, and John is checking in as always from Virginia. Thank you there, 128. Thanks for joining us. Over to shortwave listener 131. SWL 133. Shortwave listener 135.
SWL 135 checking in.
Ooh, and sounding good. I know I will at least have one radio tonight. We'll be back shortly. SWL 137, got a proxy check in for AJ. SWL 145.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 145 checking in.
Hey, Tony, hope you can hear me. It is kind of quiet down here, but I know when you're up on the hill, you hear a little bit more. You are sounding good. Thanks for joining the old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, you got a good single coming up the hill tonight. It sounded real good.
All right, good deal. And likewise, Tony is another net controller, runs on the early risers net on 2 meters, and I did get the current update, although I wasn't able to participate. I will try to do better next week. Over.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, we just when we don't hear you, just make sure you get the email so you can see what you missed out on, brother.
Indeed. So I appreciate the extra time to do that. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you betcha. And as far as Friday's questions, the first answer was National. I didn't know Drake and Browning started at National.
Yeah, that was different because Browning, in theory, has been around quite a long time. So, you know, some places can begat other places. All right, thanks for checking in.
Thank you for running today.
Heading to SWL 147, out there in Kakalaki, Dr. Jazz and the gang. What's going on there tonight? Radio is very quiet today, as it is here, a little southwest, but not much else. So it seems like the skip, the conditions were spotty. You had to be in the proper place in the US of A and have your radio tuned correctly. Even here in Fresno, talking to Europe. A little southwest, not much else on the skip, and no turkey on the 24th. Says the kids don't like it, so they did ribeyes. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't like turkey or don't like parts of it, or just say, no, it's a bird. Give me something else. So a lot of people do that. 73. Sounded good, Neil. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to shortwave listener 188. think my noise just turned on. Yeah, we're at S7. This is going to be interesting. SWL, up to course gold, SWL 195. All right. Checking you in. Hope all is well and you are enjoying the weekend. Yeah, man, that noise. This one is coming in a long way. SWL 226. I'm going to get Jeff checked in off of one of the Facebook pages, Mr. Shockwave. Anybody else, if you can make it through my noise that just came up, we are listening. Over. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the tube radio items of interest. Get set up for that. It'll take a minute or two. Looks like everything is up and running. The computer's holding in there, so hopefully it will do that tonight. If you are warming up a radio, now is your time. We'll be checking it in shortly. And if you aren't, but have one you can bring by, think about it, won't you? We got another hour of time to get you in. OTR back in a moment. Listening to the old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The old Tube Radio Network.
Your old Tube Radio Network. And doggone it, my computer malfunction at the beginning, before things started off, threw off my timing, and it looks like we have gone into the noise zone. I lost that 10 minutes. Let me do a couple of things here. The old Tube Radio Network pocket protector pen, brought to you tonight by Harold's CB Radio Sales Service, Air Conditioning and Body Shop in South Haven, Kansas. Tonight, so Harold's CB Radio Shop and Air Conditioning. So get a little peek and tweak. And then make sure that you have some air conditioning. Can you see that? Where is that? Harold's CB Radio. The less than stellar camera that focuses on everything but what you want it to. It's just the way it works. Let's see, what else? I want to say hello to those who are joining us from the Facebook pages, fans of Browning, Tram, and Sonar, the CB Radio Lounge, Vintage CB Radio, fans of vintage tube equipment. There's a lot of them out there. The old Tube CB Radio Network, hi there. CB Radio Lounge, antique CB radios from pre-1977, and a host of others. Big Rich is out there joining us tonight. He's singing along. He's singing along with the. I thought I saw you there. He's singing along with the jingle singers tonight. So if the jingle singers sound a little bit more polished, thanks to Big Rich for helping him out. All right, we are going to see who I can hear on the tube radios tonight. The noise is up, but we'll give it a shot. OTR listening.
Oh, break OTR.
35135.
Okay. I'm getting my pages together. We're going to go 135, and then I'll pick up 14. I do hear you, Sean. We'll see how that will do. But before you take a transmission, Cliff, let me get the braking station and bring out my list here to do that. The 7, go ahead.
Oh, yes, SWL7 checking in, just got in, don't have anything warmed up, so just checking in.
Okay, I figured as much, so let me... boy, am I on the right... I got to see if I'm on the right profile here. Yes, I am. Perfect. So let me get the right item of interest up. We'll get SWL7 checked in, and if you have a chance to join us with a radio, please do so. We will be here for a while. And speaking of joining us with radios, I will sign into the page. What is it? Is it November 26th of 2022? And hello, Cliff, over.
Yes, hello. Assuming this thing is still working, this is SWL 135 checking in on from Laconia, New Hampshire, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
It appears to be working. All right, and I'm always pleased when this particular Browning jumps in, because we often see its picture, even though it's for some reason is no longer labeled properly. It's got the wrong label on it. It is definitely not from a Golden Eagle Mark III advertisement, but it is from the desk, the radio desk of Mr. Green Arrow, and looking pretty good and sounding pretty good. Back to you.
I can't get the ping right tonight. It's just too cold. Okay, yes, let's see. All 23 crystal-controlled transmit channels in the transmitter, but extended receive in the receiver. This thing receives, if you flip the right switches, all the way up to, above and beyond channel 40 for some. I don't know what they were planning. Let's see. Altogether, there are 20 tubes. That's a lot of tubes in these two things. There's 11 in the receiver and 9 in the transmitter. And this is the original banana-type microphone, which I think was made by Electro Voice, but it's got the Browning logo on it, and it's two-tone brown, handheld, semi-desk mic. There's a little stand you can put it in. And, of course, the wonderful on-the-air light, letting me know that I'm on the air on the receiver speaker. Back to you.
You got to know you're on the air, although it's sort of not an afterthought, but when you key the radio, when you key up the Browning, it lets you know you're on the air, because you'll hear the speaker, the receiver go away, the ping comes on, the transmitter's up, the on-the-air light's on, and it is a good thing. Your tonnage, your coloring on the Mark III is a little bit more deeper gold than some of them that I've seen, but that could just be the way the lighting is. The microphone, pretty darn cool. And then there's that extra knob that everybody always talks about that says SWR. So I don't know. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, that is currently a mic gain adjustment. So I can turn this thing up or down whichever way you like. But yeah, that's the way it came to me. That's what it looked like. And yeah, I do operate them side to side. I don't operate it one on top of the other as pictured. It was just the best way to take the picture.
Yeah, it fits the aspect ratio format. And I'm trying to think on the Mark II, the Mark III, the R68, T68, the 23S9. I don't think there was ever, and I could be wrong here, but I don't recall there ever being an external mic gain control. And for the Eagles, you think that would have been an interesting thing to have, but I think Browning was really set with, we give you this microphone, it sounds good. You can put a D104, it'll sound good. You don't need amplification. It's set, ready to go. You don't need to turn things up and down. But of course, when you start adding an amplified microphone, it really is nice to be able to adjust the mic gain a little bit. But I really think they really thought that their engineers had made the radio correctly, and it was like, you don't need to be fooling with the audio. We've already done that for you.
Now, when Harvey kind of put everything back in order on this thing, the SWR knob is now where it's supposed to be, and so we had this extra hole in the front, where the knob is pictured is. And there is a mic gain adjustment on the inside of the transmitter. So, I thought it would be a cool idea to move the mic gain control to the front of the radio. Or I'd have to stare at that bullet hole in the front of the radio forever. So I thought this was the better way to go about it.
Yeah, it works. I mean, it's, some people don't like the front to not look like the regular radio, but it's functional. It works. The radio sounds nice, and we're always glad to have it come by the old tube radio network. And again, the picture's so good. We often use it for our Mark III photo. We've got it as our first radio on the list tonight, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from Browning from about 1972 to 1976 or so, when they really couldn't produce them because they weren't 40 channels. They were 23 channels. Prices ranged anywhere from probably the low 600s to the high 700s, depending on what year and when you bought it. And doggone it, they cost at least that much now if you can find one. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Okay, if anybody knows what they were thinking when they put all these extra receive frequencies in here, there's a switch. It says CB, HF, and crystal, and so it's like they were planning for the extra channels to come in, but just not ready to do it with the transmitter yet, or something like that. I'm not sure. If anybody knows the story on that, I'd really like to hear it. It kind of sounds like a transitional thing, but it really does. I was actually listening to some sideband on 38 and 36 and somewhere around 40 earlier today. Because, like I say, the radio allows you to do that. And I was, why only 23 channels in the transmitter then? So I'm not sure what they were up to, but thanks for letting me check it in. Oh, it looks like I should be pretty close to right on frequency on this thing, too. It does have the adjustable transmit frequency. And with that, we'll let the channel roll. See you next time.
Information.
And information, we right with you. You are right on frequency. I just quickly hit the 0 beat on the sideband, and your voice was right there. I'm thinking in 1972, you could buy the receiver by itself. You could buy the transmitter by itself. So Browning wasn't. They knew that some people just bought the receivers and paired them with another radio. I used to talk to a guy that ran the Browning receiver with an E.F. Johnson Messenger 2. And sounded really good, and he had a ping. So, and the engineers might have said, "Hey, is it illegal to have a 40-channel variable receiver?" And they said, "Of course not. The FCC doesn't care about the receiver. It doesn't have to be crystal controlled." Well, we know that people are using these frequencies. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just build that in there and have it as a little selling point on the receiver? And so maybe they did that. Thank you for Radio 1. The information. Go ahead.
Okay. To get channel 26 to show up
under channel 1 of the dial, what they did was gave you a 31,720 crystal, and that, when you flip the switch, put channel 26, because you can easily get 24 and 25 in between 22 and 23, that put 26 under channel 1. Well, since you had a 23-channel dial, when you spun the dial, the extra channels above 23, I guess would be 17 channels, allowed you to have more going up to 40 or going up to 23. So you ended up going up to 27,595. But they did it basically because they wanted 26, the next channel, to show up under 1.
Okay, so do you have to, you said you have to flip some switch to get the extended receive then?
Yes. You flip the switch right on there. It's on the newer ones it says CBHF Crystal 1. On the older ones, they gave you the newer channel dial along with the crystal and some instructions, and you wired it to where it said manual Crystal 1, Crystal 2. You could either get it to show up under Crystal 1 or Crystal 2, depending on what you wanted to do. And when you did that, channel 26 showed up under channel 1. And then you just spun the dial, you got to 40 around, I guess, let's see, about 70 channels, under channel 17 or so, and then you could keep going, because the dial would go, and you ended up, after channel 40, and it said 40, you ended up with, what did it say? Oh, it said in numbers 27, 4, 1, 5, all the way up to 27, 595.
40's underneath channel 11.
Okay, under channel 11. I forgot about the RC channel. That made it show up under 11.
Okay, well, I'm wondering what frequency was under 27085. All right, good information to know. And Jackie chiming in. I agree. I bet Greg WikiWhack S9 Radio would also have the explanation as well for that. But I think we got a good one as well right here tonight. Thanks for Radio 1. I want to say hello. I noticed some commotion up there in the mezzanine. The popcorn makers up there, Popcorn 913, has joined us tonight and is sounding good. Also up in the balcony, Toronto, Ontario. Hello to you. Germantown, Wisconsin, as always. Glad to have you back anytime. San Marcos, California, also joining us here on the Old Tube Radio Network from Central California, where the live program, where the live net is being transmitted on 27. Speaking of, if you're looking at your calibrated Browning dial, 27.085, channel 11. Let me see. I know the noise is here, so we'll see what I can do with the station that was actually sounding good at S6 when the noise level was below that. Hello, Sean, out near Sanger. I'm listening to see what I can see or to hear what I can hear. Over. All right, you are there. You're peaking up to almost S7. Of course, my noise level is there at S7. What radio item What radio item are you on tonight? Over. All right, on the Cobra Cam 88, I'm going to find that. Boy, that is good audio. I mean, that is all. That is all that's making the trip, and it's not because it's weak. It's just because of my noise level. So again, it speaks well for what it means to have good, clear audio, regardless of where your signal might be, and no distortion. I think I've got the Cobra, which I will put up, and we'll go back to you for a transmission. Over. All right, I was trying some noise reduction trickery, but it's just such a broadband noise. It's hard to do. I know you definitely have if you have it, the range expand is on. Oh, and next transmission, I'm going to actually see if I can hear your sideband, one of your sidebands. So go ahead. Sorry, I had trouble finding the AM button again. Yeah, I hear you there, but it's weak enough where I don't even detect that the carrier is on. But you're right on. As soon as I go to 8.5, I can hear the voice come through. All right. Well, I apologize. I got a little late start because I wanted to get everything reset up for the video, and I think I would have made us in time had I not been a little tardy on the initial key down. The Cobra Cam 88. That could be, that radio sounds so good. It could definitely be a daily driver if indeed there were some activity daily and nightly on the frequency. So as usual, come out and check. And you never know. Harvey does come out during the week to test some of his radios. Sometimes I'll have it on. The guys and gals on 38 lower are always around, so I'm sure the Browning will work on that. We've got the Friday night Ditchbank's sideband net, so there is an opportunity to get on. All right, back to you. It's radio number 2. It's the Cobra Cam 88, and I believe that might have been the radio on which you checked in during the roll call. So I'm going to have to go back. I will direct people to go back to the SWL 14 check-in to hear how it should be sounding right at the moment. Back to you. Thanks for bringing it back. Over. All right, thanks for radio number 2. Say hello to John, Juliet Whiskey, Kilowatt Juliet Golf. We never said it that way. We would say KJG 47855 or KEO 8492. I don't ever remember giving out our CB calls in phonetics, although we might have done. I did that. I know we gave them out a lot when the FCC was in town. What is it? Wearing the magic glasses. Remember when they used to start the cartoon, and the host or whatever would put on the magic glasses and look right into the screen and say, "I see Butch, and I see Steve, and Robert, and Lisa, and Ronnie, and Tom, and Jonathan, and Michael, and John, and Crazy Bob." They would see all the people somehow magically watching, or in this case, listening into the old Tube Radio Network. I will stand by. The Jingle Singers are ready. We'll do a Jingle Singers, and I'll stand by and see if there's any other stations that would like to check in. If they can, I can hear them, and who knows what, on your old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR. Listening for Radio 3. Yeah, that's right. Romper Room, and everybody had. It was like Bozo. Every TV market had their own Miss somebody to be their Romper Room. Although some of them were syndicated, but back when they did have those kind of kids show, and we're still we're still doing the kids show here with the big kid in the seersucker suit. I am going to check to see. I've got a couple of featured radios here. I think if I can do this correctly. So what I need to do, and here's one of them. If I go to that, and I go to that and expand it out a little bit, maybe. How do we do this? There it is, and that is from the collection, and it's a Tram TR27C Jimmy Colburn. What a cool-looking radio. And we have a couple here in town, and we may have even checked them in via mobile, but that's the smaller mobile version of, and we hear it often, the Tram TR27E. But it's still a big radio as mobile radios are concerned, but I think you could put a transformer inside or something to make it plug into the wall. Had a nice big S meter, but that is the Tram TR27C off the radio shelf of Jimmy Colburn. Looking good. I hope that is able to get on the air. We'd love to hear it here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We are standing by, and we are listening for radio number 3. This is kind of quiet. It's probably more quiet where you are because you don't have this the noise that I have. Are you in front of an old tube type radio? Over.
Well, I'm probably behind an ancient tube radio, the Sonar Model G by Sonar. This one's got 8 channels, a whole lot of weighting, 23 channel tunable receive and 8-channel crystal receive. I've got the stock Sonar hand mic with the amplified carbon cartridge.
Amplified carbon cartridge. So is that something that you configured to amplify it, or is that something that came out of the box that way?
As far as I can tell, they came out of the box for the 3023. The circuit is in Sam's Photofax book 95 with the 3023 in the schematic. It's 3 little parts: a 470 ohm resistor, 220 ohm resistor, both in series, and a 100 microfarad at about 25 volt electrolytic in parallel with those two. And it seems to amplify the cartridge. Without it, you get nothing with that cartridge. but they only put them in some mics. Most of them have a small crystal or ceramic cartridge.
And I can see why. The audio is loud, but it's a bit, I don't know if muffled is the right word. It just doesn't have that, and it's a carbon microphonium, so it might not. And carbon microphonium, for those of you who had the old telephones, and we had one here a couple months ago, someone maybe remember the ringing, the really heavy handset that had you unscrew the microphone, here was this carbon element. That's basically what Harvey's got in that. And so it was made for telephone communications. You don't need anything above, 3K, 2.5K or whatever. So for 6 kilohertz or better, might even be 8 kilohertz wide audio on that Sonar, you're missing a bit of the high mid-frequency articulation. So I think Harvey has to stand on his tippy toes when he's talking, right?
I wish I did. I'm sitting down and I'm at arm's length with this microphone. It's got great audio response as far as picking me up, but you're right. Most of these cartridges are around 350 hertz to about 4K. So that's what you get. But if you remember, Dennis, when I would talk on the 3023, this is the exact mic I used with it, and you said it sounded like the Baby Buddy.
Wow. So that's interesting. Is this housed in the, and you might have said, but I probably didn't catch it, Sonar has a really large microphonium that came with Sonar on the front, with the big open, area for your speech to go through the little holes. Is that the encasement for this one?
Roger. It's the same case, and the cartridge fits right in to where they molded it to fit, with the smaller crystal cartridges. They put a piece of cardboard in there, cut out a smaller hole, and stuck the crystal cartridge in it. Anyway, same hand mic.
Okay, very good. And let's talk about the radio. I've got let me get the close-up of it here. Sonar Model G, that's what you're hearing Harvey talk on. I'm thinking 1964 or so. It's 8 channels on the crystal controlled. You had to be crystal controlled per the FCC on the transmit. No wandering around with the VFO. And then, speaking of VFOs, you could have one on the receive, which it does, and it sort of looks like it's marked. It must be a little wacky to find out exactly what channel you're receiving on, so there must be a way to spot that thing, even though I don't see it on there. And then there is another interesting thing. It looks like there's a lit front. There's a light, but it's underneath a bezel or a panel. So is that actually where you could touch it, or is it behind some piece of plastic? So I'm assuming it's shining down not only to light up your channel selector, but also the S meter. Over.
Yes, it pokes through. If you got thin fingers, you can touch it. To the left of the meter is a crystal spot switch, so you can spot. And I tapped on top of the radio. Did that do anything?
No, but did someone come out of the case?
No, but Cliff said if I tap on the top of the radio, it changes the microphone tone.
Oh, well, now that I'm listening, I just got used to it. I actually think it did. I actually think it brightened it up a little bit.
I'm on an amplified D104 with just a fair cartridge. If I switch heads, I could put a decent cartridge on this thing, and then it'll sound a lot better. Yeah, I tried a whole lot to get it to be high, but other than giving it one of those funny cigarettes, I can't get it any higher.
All right, well, it's good. Speaking of high, we'll check out the bandwidth. The Sonar Model G. So I see the two screws. Looks like you pull off that Sonar plate and you can get in and change the, number 47 bulb with that. Let's see, who's joined us? Hello to Dallas, and Jackie is in there. And who else? Oh, Albert and the Squamish boys. Okay, I saw you guys checking in late. You know, you guys have a special card. You flash the card at the door. Says it's just Alex and the Squamish boys, and they just let you right in. And everybody can come in. So all right, you can't be late to the old Tube Radio Network. Okay, well, it's doing a good job. Go ahead and take a transmission. I'll give you, and you already know it. I'll give you the frequency report. Over.
Okay. I put it in for the add-on. It should be a little bit louder. And frequency-wise, I ought to be awfully close. Anyway, I'm looking into other cartridges, carbon cartridges. The problem is I don't know how to measure the frequency response or be able to figure that out. When somebody's selling one, if they tell in the listing, well, it goes up to here, up to there, then I know. There's someone selling some right now that are around 350 to 4K, and you just said, 4K is not going to cut it.
Well, it could be better. It could be better than some other things. We don't have the Larrycam to see actually how wide your bandwidth actually is. 270848, so about 150 to 200 low. Anybody watching the video is seeing a fairly old advertisement for this radio. $229.50. That was actually, when you compared that to the price of a general radio telephone, which was also not a 23-channel radio. Sonars were a bit pricey. 5-watt citizen band radio, dual conversion, B meter and transmitting tuning meter. The lettering is kind of washed out. I'm sorry. Yeah, S meter. S meter and transmitting tuning meter. 8 crystal controlled channels for receive and transmit. Switch allows receiver to tune 23 channels. Indirect. It's called the indirect illuminated panel. I referred to incorrectly. High level class B push-pull modulation. Now let's talk about that for a second. That is the thing that Sonar was sort of famous for, and I think Regency did as well with the push-pull. So I don't know if I have a tube complement of this radio, but isn't that the 6B? I'm looking for the things that, like the 6AQ5, the 6BQ5 for the push-pull. Over.
Negative. 6AQ5 final, 12 BH7A, twin triode, twin plate modulation. In this one, in the H, and I believe in the E. And also in the 3023, you have the 12BH7A twin triode, twin plate modulation. In the 2340, they changed that to twin 6BQ52.
All right, that's what I'm thinking of, because I think that's what the Regency did. Built-in low-pass filter for TVI suppression. I know your neighbors aren't complaining. Push-button crystal filter spotter, universal mounting bracket, rugged aluminum construction. And drop it on your foot, and it'll break your foot, but it won't break the radio. And an adjustable squelch, as opposed to what? The non-adjustable squelch, or no squelch at all. All right. Well, it's sounding good. And some people are wondering, $229.50, and that's in 1955. So that was a price of a nice, probably a black and white console, 19-inch television to put in your living room, or you could convince the XYL that you really needed that Sonar. From 73 And I can't see that, Worcester Avenue or something, but it's Brooklyn, New York. So all our stations that stay up late out in New York, I'm glad we got a radio that you will like. Over to you, Harvey, and I'll turn it back to you, and we'll see if we got anybody else. Over.
Roger. Okay. This has got the absolute sweetest sounding, great sounding receive audio. It's got a big, fairly decent sized speaker coming out the top of the radio. It's bolted to the top of the radio case. And you just sound so good on it, as does everyone else. On the Model H, the speaker, I think, was on the side. No, it was front-firing speaker. Considerably smaller, but I think the noise limiter in this radio I thought wasn't going to be too good, but it's great. When I heard Sean in Sanger quite well, and it's just got a great receive. The Model E will be on the bench for next week. The H I'm putting on the shelf along with this, and along with the 3023. The Model E will be next up, and that'll be next week. Okay, we'll turn it back to you. And Cliff, if you're still listening, the Mark III sounded excellent. And Sean, your Cam 88 sounded excellent. And whoever I'm not mentioning sounded excellent.
This is the everybody sounds, well, not everybody, but everybody sounds excellent frequency. And I wish I didn't have that noise so that I could hear Sean, because I know from what I heard, it did indeed sound excellent. Getting, 3 thumbs up. How do you do that, Cameron? Cameron from Toronto. Listening and watching tonight from Toronto, where staying up late. It's past 1 o'clock there, 42 degrees. Enjoying the old Tube Radio Network. Maybe if you had one of these Sonar radios, it wouldn't be so chilly in the Radio Shack. Radio number 3 in the old Tube Radio Network, the Sonar Model G, and as you heard, more Sonars. If you're a fan of Sonar, more Sonar radios to come in future episodes of the old Tube Radio Network. Well, there is a fans of Browning, Tram, and Sonar Facebook page, so tell your friends to listen. And the Jingle Singers are out and about again, and we'll be back in just a moment after this word from our local sponsors.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Listening for radio number 4.
You gotta be kidding. Where'd everybody go?
Well, I'm just wondering if because of my noise, I'm missing some of these radios. I know Paul was a little weak tonight, but if he tried checking in, I probably wouldn't be able to hear him because of the noise. Sean has another radio or 2 to check in that I may not be able to hear, so I'm blaming myself tonight. I'm going to get some demerit points when I have to go and speak to management tomorrow.
Well, I probably should be able to hear him. I know I'll hear Paul. If I heard Sean on the Sonar, I'll hear him on this.
Yeah, indeed you will. Speaking of which, I'm seeing, here's another, let's see if I can put up another, feature another radio from some of the listeners and Facebook sites. Here's one of the, I never owned one of these, but I really think it's a cool radio. I love the mid-century modern design. And this is the Lafayette HE20 Charlie. This is from Jimmy Colburn's collection. I love that sort of trapezoidal speaker. How they thought, let's not make it square. And then they've got sort of the droopy face channel selector. I think these were actually fairly decent, and I don't know if they were made by Lafayette. I'm assuming they might have been made by DeWalt or somebody for Lafayette to sell through their catalog. But the HE series, the HE20C, just a cool radio, and another similar to the Sonars. And this is about the same time, the early 60s, when they had the crystal-controlled transmit. You didn't have 23 channels, because you had to put all the crystals. The crystals were, $2, $3, $4 a shot times 23. So they saved some money that way by giving you a selectable 8 and put in what you want. And the HE20C also had the external crystal sockets. You can go in a little crystal bin and put your favorite channel in. But it did give you the ability to listen to all the channels via the VFO. You didn't have to buy crystals, and of course, receive didn't have to be crystal controlled. But just a cool radio from Jimmy Colburn. So thanks for that. Back to the old Tube Radio Network. In Radio 4. I'll put in 60 at, we're still behind the 10 o'clock here. Hi, Joe. Good to hear you in the air chair. Take another transmission. We will get you signed in with whatever radio you might have. Over.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in my Blackface Johnson 223. No, this is the TOO Blackface Johnson. Doggone it, I think she's warm enough to key up. Shouldn't have any problems.
No, it's good. It's always when that makes that first little transmission, it's like it has to clear its throat. It has the radio frog in its throat, and then it turns into the consummate messenger TWO, which many of us who may have been back in the 60s and 70s had as, if not our first tube radio, or maybe talking to someone who actually had that radio, and they're still around. Edgar F. Johnson and crew, back in Waseca, Minnesota, somewhere in there, had one of those big facilities. I think they're still making business band radios. Larry Hamguy, we used to work there. We talked to him a couple times. He said it was a great place to work in the 80s. I imagine it was probably when they built these radios as well. Take a transmission.
Yeah, doggone it. Yeah, I know it has that little bit of hesitation. I try not to jump on the mic too quick. But doggone it, I think we got 10 tubes, 10 stations. I know it's volume squelch. Simple to operate, but a really nice radio. I really enjoy talking on this one and keying it up.
Yeah, we're showing it with the, I think that was used static. They used to call it the ice cream cone microphone. I have a Messenger, the Messenger 1 or the Viking Messenger. And in the box, it actually came with that microphone. You talk into the end of it. And that one's got a little space for you to put it into the mobile bracket. The Johnson TWO, 10 channels. So this was the upgrade to the Viking Messengers with more channels, and they might have probably enhanced the AGC, AVC. Sam's PhotoFax 5. So it's an early radio, page 48. There's a schematic available at oldtuberadio.com. Tunable receivers. Now, this radio sold, there were two versions, a mobile or 12-volt version and a 115-volt AC version, $169.95. But notice it doesn't have the S meter. It's not quite as fancy as the Sonar, but for, about $60 less. And a lot of people had these radios from E.F. Johnson because they were a nice sounding, good sounding radio. You could also do some mods. Some transmit mods, get a little bit more power out. than the 5 watts. And like I said, I talked to somebody who was using one of these as the transmitter because he liked it so much, but paired it with a Browning, I think it was a Mark II receiver, R2700A receiver at the time. A good sounding radio. Over.
Well, doggone it, yeah, that, well, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's a nice radio. I know that I've had it now for about a year. It's been performing real well. Doggone it, but I got a couple more here. I got warming up, and I want to get a chance to key those other radios up. So with your okay there, we'll do away with this one, and we'll get another one warmed up.
Okay, will do. Just put up the S meter, a good solid 10 over S9 with forward good sounding modulation. Hasn't skipped a beat, so no problem. We'll save a few spots for you. You are radio number 4 with the E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Dennis.
And speaking of stopping by, the Jingle Singers, they must be feeling good tonight. We haven't heard much from them lately, but they are wanting to jump in tonight, and we are saying okay for that.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
As Cornbread would say, did somebody say Fresno listening for radio number 5?
How about SWL number 7?
7 for 5. I can do that. Let me get to the proper screen. We just had the E.F. Johnson Messenger 2. We'll take that off the screen and tell us what you've got. Over.
Well, I just warmed up the 1, so I figured I'd warm up the good old Tram TR27E.
Hey, good choice. I'm glad you brought that by because we featured one of the somebody off of Facebook that has the TR27C, which is the mobile version of that radio. So they cut off a couple inches on one side and maybe a little bit at the top. And I don't know if they took out a transformer or not to do the AC voltage. But that was the mobile version of, and we mentioned this, in fact, we probably even said your radio, the mobile version of the TR27E. So you can get the bigger S meter in there, you get bigger speakers, and the bigger knobs. It's just bigger all around. I suppose you could, well, I don't know. This, if they made a mobile radio, I'm assuming you don't have a plug on this that you can change to run this thing 12 volts then.
Oh, no, this one strictly 110. It's house voltage.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we've been looking at the 1963 radios that were 8 channels or 4 channels. So here's the top of the line radio. This is what you got. You got all 23 channels on the transmit side, so all the crystals are in their sockets rotating around or wherever they are. Big S meter. But they still kept the 23 channel tunable receiver, and a good receiver it is. Give you the spot switch, and there is, I'm going to get a close-up here. There is your center knob under the speaker. It looks like it says limiter. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct. It is a noise limiter, and it works very well for my neighborhood noise.
Yeah, maybe that's what I need to do. Although I think this noise that I have is unlimitable. I've tried. A noise blanker does not touch this hash and trash garbage that's out around here. But then again, I am not running a 23 Tram CB two-way radio. Over.
There you go, good old Tram. And of course, the Electro Voice 638 microphone attached.
EV638 sounding good. Let's go to the ad quickly. The Tram, another step forward in communications. It gave you a service tip on how to work on some tuning things. And for our fans of Tram, Winnisquam, New Hampshire, in that 03289 area code. And I wonder if that 603 area code, or zip code rather, the 03289 zip code, but I wonder if the 603 area code is still valid. Or if you could send a postcard to P.O. Box 187, Department 10A, and say, send me your latest. Back to you for a transmission, and thanks for, I know it gets busy when you run in the door, but thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network. Over.
No problem. My pleasure. At least checking in one. We'll let you get back at it.
Okay, because I know we have a few more to go here before we sign out tonight. OTR listening.
60.
And 60. Oh, you know what? I've got the microphone. I forgot to turn on behind me. I should have done it when you checked in your EF Johnson Messenger 2. I picked up the 223 in the background warming up. Add a little sunlight to the to the dreary control room here. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in my pretty green radio, the Robin 123B. Doggone it, she's warming up. It's got this room just ablaze.
Yeah, there are reports that radio can not only pack a transmittal punch, but also keep the room warm when you turn the thing on. And I'm looking. There are vents in the case, at least on the side. I don't know about the top, but all of these 5-watt radios worked on what they call convection cooling, meaning now the heat will rise, it will draw in the cold air through the bottom, and we really don't have to worry about it. Mainly because tubes like heat. Now the capacitors and resistors in there, not so much. But the tubes couldn't care less how hot it might be. They love that kind of stuff. It is a pretty green radio. Take a transmission.
Thank you much, Dennis. Yeah, she's partly opened up on the sides, but the top is fully opened up. A lot of little holes. A lot of good ventilation on it. But I don't know, maybe it's because it's low profile. But it is a warm one. 11 tubes, 23 channels, and a few extra channels. It's converted over a little bit to have some extra channels in it. And right now the switches are in position to accommodate the AM channel 011, our favorite channel.
Yeah, for especially on the Saturday night place to be. What microphonium are you running on the Robin? Over.
Well, Dennis, this is the original microphone. The little bitty one, about the size of an avocado. Not your expensive avocado, not your half. I'm talking about the little smaller one. But this is the original Robin mic.
Oh, and my other picture had the microphone. So if anybody's got a Robin or thinking about getting a Robin and it comes with, microphone supplied standard microphone, that's what it would sound like. In fact, this is the microphone right there. Yeah, it's a pretty small mic, but it does okay. It's nice and loud. It's restricted a bit in the low frequencies, which one might expect. And we know, we've listened to people on the D104s with the Robins. You know, if you want to get loud, you can do that. But I'm assuming your red mod light blinks a little bit when you're talking in there, and that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. No, she responds pretty good. It says 123B from Japan on the back of the microphone. So it is the original microphone. It's a little bitty guy, like I say. But other than that, the features are nice in the front. You can't beat the external speaker light, the mod light, and your external button, your PA button. Everything seems to be well lit up. Lets you know that it's operating.
And operating well for our radio number 6. And John is mentioning that he bought, and this is a good thing to mention here, what's called the Spitfire Mark II. He said it looks a lot like the 123B. And John, if you open that radio up, that Spitfire, you will find that it looks a lot like the Robin inside, because it is a Panasonic 2 chassis, and there was about 5 or 6 different radios that used that same chassis with different front panel controls, some of which you had certain items and some of which you did not, but they're all listed in there. So yeah, your Spitfire XL is the same as the T123B, as same as the T-Berry Model T, and on and on. That is the classic Spitfire, or the classic Panasonic chassis, and I do believe they are plate modulated as well. All right, Joe, take another transmission. It is sounding good, and we're glad you brought it by. Over.
Well, Dennis, thank you much. I just pushed in the squelch button and kind of elevated your voice a little bit. I like it with the squelch button out, a little bit more tone. Sounds real nice. You sound real nice coming out of it. Okay, Dennis, appreciate it. And I've got one here. She's ready to go.
All right, and likewise, so am I. The Jingle Singers are also ready to go. So while they'll tell us about the best place to be on a Saturday evening, you get the radio ready, and we will get it going. The magic of the Old Tube Radio Network. Back in a bit.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And we are listening for radio number 7. Also, let's see, who's joining us? Spokane, Washington, coming in up on the balcony. Hello to Crash 350. Staying up late with us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Just trying to get a few radios. Got a little bit of a late start due to some prior technical difficulties on the main screen computer, but all is working now. So I want to make sure that everybody who wants to get in to check in a radio can do that. OTR listening.
60.
Oh, yeah, this has a definitely different sound. I can tell you are on a different radio. Go ahead, sir. Over.
Dennis, we're on our pretty little blue radio. Now, this one is blue. With partially a silver front on it. I don't. You probably won't see it on that radio or whichever other one that you look at, but partially silver front on it. That includes the 2 top switches, your volume and squelch, and for your extra crystal slot, and your meter and speaker are encased in a silver, and I imagine it's original to the radio, with the complete hardware on it for mounting in case you decide to put it in your car there. It's got its mic hanger, and of course we're using a desk mic right now, but I have the original microphone here. 7 tubes, 8 channels.
As they say, 7 tubes, 8 channels, no waiting. We've got a great picture. It's not your radio, but I think your radio looks just as nice. The World Radio Labs, Leo Meyerson, WRL, Globe Radio. And Foxman 362 said, "Is this radio number 7? Wait a minute, are you playing the home game?" He's got the home radio list. See, I have to write it down by hand. But that's the way we've been doing it for 35 years here at the Old Tube Radio Network. So let me go back to the Hustler channel and tuning again. It's kind of the theme tonight, where you have your crystal controlled channels, your selectable 1 through whatever, but your tuning is all 23 through the miracle of the variable frequency oscillator. A little red light that might blink when you talk, I don't know. And it's got the spot switch, so you can tell when you are on the right transmitting and receiving channels, or simultaneously and at the same time. And the S meter, I probably have asked this before, does that S meter work when I key up, or is it keyed down? When I get on the air, does it move?
Oh yeah, Dennis. She keyed right up. You hit me with about 10 pounds. Start from the bottom up. But when you first turn it on, it's hung up on the top, and then lowers itself down. But I guess the red light on it is just to let me know that the mic is keyed. It acts sometimes as well, you know, with the audio, like it's wanting to flash. But it's doing that anyway without me even touching or shooting any voice into it. It's more like you're on the air. Let's put it that way. It does have a squelch. It has a volume, and it has a crystal slot, and it has your channel selector and a crystal tune. Good one. Anyway, we fine-tuned you in, and you're coming in loud and clear.
Loud and clear is a good thing. All right, you know what? That is more like a pilot light. The Johnson Viking Messenger had one like that. It had just a little orange, amber, jeweled light that would come on when you turn the radio on. And think of it this way. I mean, you wouldn't know, if you walked by that radio, how would you know it was on if the volume was turned down or if there's no lights on it? So you'd be able to, maybe at night, you'd walk by and say, oh, see the little red light, we left the radio on. So you'd go and turn it off. Good question. Who was it that asked, is that same Hustler? Is Travis? Is that the same people that make the antenna? The Hustler is the model. It's the name of the radio. The people that make it is actually, it's down there below the speaker. WRL, World Radio Labs. And where were they? Council Bluffs, Iowa. I think it was Leo Meyerson. He made a lot of amateur radio gear, and they got into the Class D 11-meter citizen radio stuff as well, so not the same as the antenna. I'm just wondering when this radio came out if there was even a brand of antenna called Hustler. Maybe they got their name from the radio, but definitely not one in the same. Over to you for another transmission. Thank you, Joe, for what's becoming one of the old tube radio favorites here.
Thank you much, Dennis. We know very little about the Hustler antenna, but I had one Hustler antenna at one time on my car. It was a mobile antenna called the Hustler. I don't know if they made the base antenna called the Hustler, but yeah, appreciate it, Dennis. I always enjoy keying this one up, and only because it's a little close to me. We've grown very fond of this little radio. Thanks, Dennis.
Indeed you have. The Hustler, running the Hustler. And now, you had your handle before the radio. I remember when I was first getting into CB radio, and this is back in the 70s, I used to talk to a gentleman by the name of Contact. And he said he took his handle from the radio, and there actually is a radio called a Contact. And I guess his first transmission, someone asked him what his handle was, and he had no idea and didn't know and sort of had mic fright. So he just looked down at the front of the radio and said the first thing he saw, which was the name of the radio. So in your case, I know you didn't do that, but it was nice to know that you've got a radio that matches, just in case someone asks you what your handle is and you think, well, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, well, it'll never be, let's just say it'll be hard to forget how I got the handle. But it is original. I did go by in times in Skipland back in the early days by the Cracker Jack station here in Fresno, Cal. But Hustler, it's always been Hustler. That's my main handle. And I told you the story how I got it and how I got to be called Hustler, and that was in a pool hall. Okay, Dennis, thank you.
All right, sounding good. I'm going to do some counting and mounting. We will get signed out here shortly. If you need to get checked in or have a radio, I should have some space for you. And we have a lot of stations staying up late tonight. Or maybe you are watching the replay, looking to see if you got checked in, giving yourself a radio check, or seeing if we are checking in your favorite radios. The Jingle Singers doing what they do best at this late hour. We'll be back in just a moment.
you're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Counting and amounting.
Well, let's see. Cliff? Cliff, are you still out there, or did you go in? No answer means he went in. I guess he thought it was too cold. Well, Dennis, the R68T68 Browning Golden Beagle by Browning Laboratories. Do some quick check marks, and that'll do it.
R68, T68, and which flavor of Browning was that again over?
The R68, T68, Sea Eagle.
Okay, it has kind of a kertrunk going on tonight. It sounds good.
Well, if I move the mic a fraction of an inch, it'll be different.
As well, it will. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm not referencing you, but that's sort of the lazy man's ping. But I kind of like it because it's the same thing every time.
Well, I'm a lazy man.
And it's not too screechy. It's got the nice ping tone and a little screech to it, and it's doing a good job. It is radio number 8.
Okay. Radio number 8. Alrighty. I'm going to make a phone call here in a minute, and then we'll catch you next week. I think I'm going to check in the Model E sonar. Get that one checked in, so all of them will be checked in.
Okay. And sounding good. And I'm looking to see if there's any available, because we have this kind of finite SWL list going on. Obviously, you don't need to have a number, and not all numbers are on there. So I'm looking for a Travis here, and I actually don't see a 119. In fact, we're in the 6th week. I don't even see anything open just at the moment. What we do at the end of 8 weeks, if some people have not checked in for a while, we end up reissuing numbers that way. That's why some people have the same number for 30 years, and some people have one and they go away, and 20 years later they come back and get on when they can. So I will endeavor. There's not a 119, but I will endeavor to see if there's a spot. May have to wait for a couple of weeks to see if we recycle an item or two, but it's pretty full considering where we are at. That's why sometimes they go out of order, because some of them got dropped. So I'm mumbling, but that was, I want to make sure that I checked for you. What else? The Old Tube Radio Network, counting and amounting, and back in just a moment. Listening, do. And then...
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
This would be the current and final totals. We used to kind of get running totals. People would go, totals. They want to know where the totals were. Well, I'm surprised we got as many as we did tonight. It is a holiday weekend, and people are out and about doing things. There's a lot of people out in the green room, up in the balcony, and joining us here, and wherever you might be when you're thinking, Holy cow! It's late. It's later than you think. SWLs tonight, we had a total of 76. We're doing good on the shortwave listeners, and those are just on the list. I mean, we have plenty of you coming by and saying hello, radio, and that is a good thing. As we always say, you don't have to be on any list or have any special radio to come in and join in and say hi and make a comment and tell us some stuff that we need to be knowing. Or just jumping in like Bonnie Lake, Washington, saying, what's going on? It's early Sunday morning, what the heck? And saying, whoa, what's going on here? The Old Tube Radio Network from Central California, listening in at 27085 Channel 11, where there is no skip. 18 checking on page 1, 19 on page 2, 16 on page 3, and 29 on page 4. For our SWLs tonight, a total of 8 radios, and the most heard manufacturer, it's an 8-way tie. Sometimes that happens. Started with the... Oh, no, I take that back. Can't count. No, I didn't. I couldn't read my writing. I thought it was a different radio, but it looks like because of the Browning that checked in at the end, the Browning Laboratories tonight with 2. Breaking the 6-way tie. Golden Eagle Mark III SSB from the Green Arrow. Thank you, Cliff, for that. Sean and Sanger with Cobra Cam 88. I will endeavor not to have some wacky things going on. I even came in early and did the computer and redid all the files, and it still did some weird thing where it says, goodbye, I'm going to shut down. Came back up just like 10 minutes before. So we'll try again. Because we will get in before I get my noise and get some more radios from Sean. But boy, the Cobra Cam 88, and you heard Harvey say it was sounding good, and I think Larry said he was hearing it there, so it was definitely making it into Fresno proper, no problem. Radio number 2 in the Cobra Cam 88 from Sanger, the Sonar Model G from Harvey. Looking good with the light bulb beaconing down on the front of the radio. The E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO from the Hustler. Keep that radio in mind. It's coming up. The Tram TR27E, the big bass version of the 27 series, and the last of that before they went to the Tram Titan series. Joe came back with the Robin T123 Bravo, because you got to be green sometimes. The Hustler from World Radio Labs, when you got to be blue sometimes, that's Radio 7. And when you got to be gold sometimes, get yourself a Browning Golden Eagle, whatever flavor. And there were plenty of them. This is the R68, T68, the first one to be called the Golden Eagle. My name is Dennis. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are here most Saturdays throughout the year, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 27085, our local channel. Where you happen to be in, give us a call. If the skip is running, give us a call. And if not, oldtuberadio.net or the YouTube video, and join us live, won't you? And let us know what's going on. 73, everybody, thanks for joining us. Do something like this where you are. Get on the air. It's fun. If you're studying for your amateur radio license, keep doing it. The bands are getting better. I'd love to talk to you on some frequency. 10 meter AM is pretty cool. I'm hoping when the bands get better, we'll say, hey, we'll look for you guys Sunday afternoon on, let's call it 29085 on your AM radio of choice. That'd be pretty cool. 73, everybody, from your Old Tube Radio Network.
Thanks, Dennis.
Hey, my pleasure as always. And Dallas, talking about the old school, and you know this already. You know this already, UDX 347. If you look at some of the old radio ads, especially for amateur radio, but some of the CB things do it, and you see these, the operators are dressed up, and the women that come in, they're dressed up. It's like this event. And so as we do here on the Old Tube Radio Network, turning down the receiver, as we do here on the Old Tube Radio Network, to recreate the flavor, not only with the old radios, but just the demeanor of how people talk and what it was like to be on the radio back then. Don't you think that there was probably an operator back in the day on their Browning or their Sonar or their Helicrafters that would get in from the office and sit down and key up and talk idle chit-chat or whatever it was that you weren't supposed to do. Or maybe they would actually give their call letters, KEO 8492 base to Unit 1, pick up a loaf of bread on the way home, which is what CB radio was supposed to be. The pocket protector works well because I'm a geeky nerd anyway, and then everybody else, you and the shortwave listeners and the radios mix in to make the whole thing. So it's pretty cool. So, X4000 is checking in. I may say hello to X4000 while we're still in the air here. X4000, we've got you checked in. You sounded good at the 9 o'clock break, taking us to the tube radios. KB6GFD. All right, so I will say goodbye. We'll cut the video and do something else. Go play radio on another day. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network here in beautiful upside downtown Fresno.